Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. In this episode 542, I am joined as always by my co-host Prez, that is at _Presidente on Twitter. Prez, how you doing?
Who do you think is going to enjoy their unemployment more, Tibbs or Nico Harrison?
Nico. I don't think he's addicted to like basketball the way Tibbs is.
That's exactly why I disagree. I think Tibbs is right now just living the dream, just going to whatever practices and games he wants, probably for free.
No, this guy's in hell. He's not happy unless he's in the locker room on a sideline.
It's a facade. It's all a facade.
Miserable. I wish it was. He's getting paid $11 million this year. He should enjoy it, especially before his healthcare premiums triple. Okay, all right. Let's move on. We're going to talk about basketball. And before we do that, I do have to make a few announcements. First, that Strickland has Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's $6 tier to get you access to Pod Strickland's podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos, a podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, the pod that hosts the YC, where we rant and rave about the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Marino, one of the best in the business. Actually, I apologize. Matthew's no longer writing for the site, but it's force of habit. But we still will be having premium articles. So you got that. You also get access to Strictly NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier. This comes with a variety of additional benefits, like listening on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you, and none of this would be possible without FanDuel. FanDuel. They will take care of all of your betting needs and desires if you so choose. Okay, let's talk about basketball. We'll talk about the Knicks. That will happen. They lost to the Magic in. It was a bad loss. I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat it, but I think there's value to getting your ass kicked sometimes, and hopefully they will learn from it. We will talk about the potential for them to learn from it. But I don't think we can start this podcast anywhere without talking about I don't know if it's not the most unforeseen thing that could have ever happened, but definitely the biggest news so far of this season, I think, which is Nico Harrison being fired. I don't think there's really much to say about it. Like, it's obvious why he got fired. It's one of the worst trades ever in the sense that, again, not breaking any new ground here, but the sense that trading Luka is probably stupid. But even if there's an argument to be made for it, part of that argument falls flat if you don't get the best possible package that you can for him. And even if you've determined that Anthony Davis is some must-have piece because defense wins championships, the fact that you did not get every little bit that you could from the Lakers is a massive issue. I'm not saying that the trade looks great if this happens, but if you get the 2031 pick as well, and you get Austin Reeves instead of Max Christie, that's okay, it's not great. It still probably looks bad because Luka would still be doing awesome things. But you know who else might be doing awesome things? Austin Reeves might be doing awesome things for you. And that would be pretty good because then you might also be getting more out of Cooper Flagg, getting more out of PJ Washington and Najee Marshall and all these other guys. So leaving that aside, which, look, I think we can both agree, and anybody listening to this can agree, that it was a terrible, terrible trade, and he deservedly has lost his job almost as a direct result of it and how it's worked out since. What I kind of think is interesting about this trade, in the sense of how it's, now cost Nico Harrison his job, is I feel like, fans of any team, you root for the team, you root for the name on the front, not the name on the back, right? But there are certain players who are tied to the name on the front, that they are emblematic of the name on the front. And I think, teams are effectively always looking for this player, right? That's what a franchise player is. A franchise player is, this is our guy. So when I say, New York Knicks, you think Jalen Brunson. If I say Detroit Pistons, you think Cade Cunningham. If I say OKC, you think SGA. If I, and we can go on and on and on down the line. And those things, that's like a very, very important thing, because sports at the end of it all, and I know we live in this fucking stupid world now where you've got dumbass little kids who root for individual players instead of teams in the areas they grew up in because they have access to every goddamn fucking thing in the world. I still think, like, when if you're from New York and you're a Knicks fan, like, that team represents something about you as a person, I guess, but more importantly, they represent the area, right? The New York Knicks represent New York. Whatever, you can go on and on. Los Angeles Lakers represent LA, blah, obviously, right? All these teams represent the areas that they're in. And part of that, and I think this has just gotten lost in sports over time and really in beyond sports, is all these things. If you want to say it's a business or whatever, part of business and part of sports in this way is you are responsible to the people who effectively are supporting your business. And part of that is not betraying their trust. And part of that is it goes beyond the numbers sometimes. And it goes beyond, like, does this move make us a championship team? Obviously, hard moves always, there are hard decisions that always have to be made. But when you trade a player like Luka, who was that kind of pillar for the Mavericks, it's like, if you're a Mavericks fan, during his time there, at no point during his time there are you thinking, I can't wait to see this team without Luka. Like, I just don't believe that's a thing. And I think he represents more than just a player. Like, he represents the team, obviously, but there's a connection to the fan base that I think is real, and it transcends the value you're going to get in trade. Maybe you can trade Luka and get a better value, and you could make a move that actually benefits you or something like that. That actually makes you a better team and gives you better championship odds. But also, like, you could just try to win with Luka. Like, you could just, like, I don't know how to put it really, but if, like, the Knicks traded Jalen Brunson to get Giannis, yeah, maybe that makes them a better team and improves their championship odds and title odds and whatever. But I do think, like, I would be pissed. I would be really mad. And I think I would actually need time away from the fucking team to reconcile with all that. And I kind of feel like part of the reason, not this is, again, I don't think I'm breaking news, but part of the reason Nico Harrison got fired is when you traded Luka, you broke the trust of the fan base, and they responded in a way that went beyond just saying fire Nico at games. They didn't sell out a game for the first time in, like, I don't know what the hell the streak was. It's some long ass streak that they had sold out games for. They didn't sell out a game. The last game that Nico Harrison was GM for, they didn't sell it out. And I think that's, like, a real thing. Like, when you break the trust of your fans, yeah, man, you can maybe there's some trade they could have made where Luka goes out and the pieces you get back and everything actually give you a better chance at winning a title. It doesn't matter to fans sometimes, and it shouldn't. And teams have a responsibility to understand that stuff. And I think, like, I think that's real, and I think it says something that fans, sometimes we feel like we don't really affect anything. We, like, oh well, we don't influence decisions. And I think this situation, the way it's all unfolded, makes it clear that that's not true. Like if they made this exact trade and the fan base was upset for a couple days, but everybody moves on and whatever, like, yeah, I think Nico Harrison is still the GM, even with their horrible start and whatever. I think the fact that it became so toxic, and it became toxic because fans were, I mean, ultimately it's a betrayal of trust, but also it's like an emotional kind of, it's an emotional betrayal because the literally, if I told you a minute before Luka got traded that they were going to trade Luka Doncic for anything, but specifically for Anthony Davis and Max Christie and a first round pick, you'd have been like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, that's never going to happen. And, you know, not just because the value makes no sense, but because Luka's your guy if you're a Mavericks fan. And there's no world where Luka's not on your team. And obviously, you have to be a certain level of player for the adoration of the fan base to basically effectively take you off the market in that way. And this isn't to say that you can't trade a franchise stalwart, right? We've seen that throughout NBA history, but usually it tends to be later in their careers, or they force their way out, right? Like Vince Carter forced his way out of Toronto. Patrick Ewing, at the very, very end of his career in New York, he requested out. Russell Westbrook basically asked out of Oklahoma City once they traded Paul George. And like, those are different scenarios. If Luka had gone to them and been like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm letting you know now, but I'm not signing this extension. And if you keep me through the end of next season, I'm walking in free agency. Okay, then you have to trade him. You know, everybody understands that. We all get it. But when you kind of don't even, when that's not forced upon you and you proactively do this thing, it's just, it's crazy. And, you know, I don't think it's just about the Mavericks, although they are like the most clear cut example. But teams have to like understand that, and ownership and executives have to understand that, like, us as fans, yeah, we want to win a championship, but there is something to like winning a championship with the guy on your team that is the symbol of it. And if you're going to all of a sudden change the symbol of your team, um, or swap him out or whatever, it better be for a damn good reason, or it better be for something that people can at least wrap their minds around. And I just am so interested in what this trade and how people reacted to it and then how it's all unfolded. I think it says something about, and I'm not trying to be like super deep or philosophical, just something I've been thinking about a lot. I think it says something about like the dynamic that exists between power brokers in sports, sure, but in society in general, I feel like at this point in where we are in yeah, in things, um, and the fact that, like, you know, sometimes it can feel like you don't have any power or ability to change things, but actually, like, if everybody is pissed about a certain thing, yeah, it might actually force people in power to make some changes. And I don't know. I find that entire thing really fascinating in a certain way. And I look, that doesn't, if you're a Mavericks fan, like, yeah, you're happy they fired Nico, but you're still probably like, you know, I'm probably sitting there every day looking up Luka's numbers on Basketball Reference and fucking, you know, pouring myself a glass of Jack. But, you know, I do think that it's just an interesting thing that I've been kind of just, I don't know. I can't really get it out of my head, actually, the more I've been, often I've been thinking about it. Cause I'm like, you know, what the hell would happen tomorrow if you know, people talk about
Like
Jason
the
Tatum all the
Brunson
time, where it's like,
example.
well, the Brunson example is one thing, but like Jason Tatum, I think is a good example of this. Where is he better than SGA? No. Is he better than Giannis? No. Is he better than Jokic? No. Is he better than Luka? No. Like, whatever. However many guys you want to put at Jason Tatum is you whatever. But I guarantee if you asked a Celtics fan, would you trade Tatum for SGA? They'd be like, no. Like Tatum is our guy, right? Like that is the guy. And obviously it helps that he's now won a championship, but he was drafted with our team. He has been through, I don't even want to say thick and thin because there's been very little thin.
It's like a special level of thin, right? Like I think fans can and have accepted, sometimes begrudgingly, sometimes with open arms, like a lot of these sort of, for lack of a like better, less crude way to say it, like late stage capitalism type adjustments to sports to the NBA, right? Like there are no in baseball. I'm not gonna speak on the NFL because I don't know shit about football, but like in baseball, like it's still rare to see like a
Well, it's like the
Jeter
Mookie
or
Betts thing.
whoever. The Mookie Betts thing is a good example of it. Like at the same time, like guys are still gonna get like, even with guys moving, like the Dodgers are like, yeah, we're gonna give Shohei Ohtani a 10,000-year contract, right? Like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine in Marvel Universe, like till you're 90 type of dealio. And in the go ahead.
I did see that Shohei Ohtani spoke some English actually after they won the World Series. So hopefully his translators are doing well still.
Well, hopefully, at least his new one is doing well. My other guy, Ipe,
I'm sure
is
his old ones. I'm sure he plays with fine, man. He's set up somewhere, Cayman Islands.
he if he wait, he's not locked up yet? I thought he was in jail.
I mean, he's locked up, but he's gonna get out. Shohei's gonna take care of it when he gets out. Thanks, man.
He's running some cigarette gambling rings wherever he locked up, bro. You can't turn that switch off. I don't care how hard you try. The amount of bets he was placing, if you believe the evidence presented, was absolutely fucking bonkers. But anyway, like you see the like like, oh, like we're gonna have commercial breaks. Oh, we're gonna have 82 games when we probably should have less. Like all these things that the sports do for money. Yeah, I get that, but like once the sacred cow is like, if your team is lucky enough to be blessed with the guy to, like, as a fan, like the only acceptable, and even this is bittersweet time for that guy to leave is when that guy, that lady, right? If it's like women's sports, is like if they say I'm leaving, right? Like LeBron's leaving Cleveland, or LeBron's leaving Miami, right? Or whatever. Like I don't know, Elena Del Don, my favorite WNBA player ever, killed it. Was like an incredible start to her career, like MVP early on, and was like, I'm leaving my team to be closer to my family in Washington D.C. Like that's why she left Chicago. So like shit like that happens, and then it's like, okay, but like this shit where Luka was not, he was not like, I'm leaving. That
He
is
wanted to stay.
crazy.
He
And
said it.
to
Yeah.
your kind of point, like of course he wanted to stay, and then like
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's I almost hate to lump this in with all the like capitalization of sports, because like the more that comes out, and I'm sure we're gonna get a lot more in the years to come, like the more that this is. I will say this about Adam Silver. He's done, because we love to fucking hate on Adam Silver because mostly he sucks, but he's done I think a good job of at least like raising the floor of franchise ownership and management to a point where you don't have the same number of completely like imbecilic, stupid, like far head over their heels, like fail son type people running teams. You still have a shit ton of those people employed by teams, but like Nico Harrison is like a throwback level of like, what the fuck are you doing here type of guy running a team. And boy, did he just like light the franchise on fire in like a historic way. Like it's like the fact that they got Cooper Flag and they're still not like and they're still like probably fucked for like 10 years. They could fire sale AD, get a good trade haul for AD, for PJ, for Najee, they could literally sell everybody, and they're still like, it could be like decades before they get
Well,
to
I
the
mean,
fucking finals. Like it's
it
crazy.
Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag could be an All NBA guy for like 10 years, and it
Right.
still would be like, yeah, but he's not Luka. Like that's how good Luka is. And I don't know. I want to wrap this up because we do need to talk about the Knicks, and we have a lot to get through. But like, it's like it's not even just about, again, it's like not just about winning a championship. It's about like trying to win with your guy and exhausting every opportunity and every
Right.
avenue until it's either evident that it can't happen because the guy wants out or the guy is washed now or whatever. Um, or they walk in free agency, in which case, like, you don't blame the team for that, right? Like, I would never blame, like, I never
Right.
blamed OKC for Durant leaving. I never blamed Cleveland for LeBron leaving. And people could be like, well, you should trade them before that point. It's like, yeah, but like, you were literally you had the chance to win a championship in their last seasons there. You can't trade that. You have to go for the championship. Um, but like, it's, the one scenario where I feel like this worked out is, and it worked out for just a lot of things kind of falling in place, is like, it's funny to think about now, but Raptors fans were pissed when they traded DeRozan and got Kawhi, right? Because DeRozan was like their guy or whatever. And guess what happened? You know why nobody is pissed? Because it actually worked. They won the championship. Kawhi was awesome. Kawhi was Finals MVP, and then he left. And they were like, "Well, that happens. That's fine. We won the championship. It all worked out." Like that's basically the scenario that needed to unfold for everybody to just be like, okay, that's fine. I guess Nico pulled it off. But like, is that actually worth it? It's is a different question. And I think the Raptors thing is a little bit more unique because Lowry was still there, right? And Lowry was like as much of their guy. It's not like Dallas had two guys, right? It's not like the Lakers got away with this with Shaq in some ways because they still had Kobe, right? So it's like, okay, well, we're actually turning the team over to Kobe. So you could sell that. Like you could sell if Luka was like 30, let's say, they kept Luka for 5 more years. They still didn't win a championship. He's awesome and everything, but they won a championship, but they have, you know, random player X who's awesome all at 25 also. You could sell like we're trading Luca to turn the thing over to this guy and like that's the plan. Like you can sell that. You can sell that. You cannot sell like you can't sell what he did and then immediately have Anthony Davis get hurt in his first game as a Maverick. You missed the playoffs entirely. Sure, you fluke into the number one pick, but this season starts off like a total fucking disaster. Anthony Davis is still out, by the way. He looks straight up fat, which, by the way, that is why you traded Luka Doncic effectively, because you were like, he's not serious about defense. He's not serious about conditioning. And it's like, okay, well, this hasn't worked out great then. Um, and it's just interesting. And sometimes like the two things that I think are the two cases that I find super interesting to me in terms of franchise guy leaving, it immediately feeling like weird and a mistake and just going back. It's like when Dwayne Wade left the fucking Heat and you were like, you're on the fucking Bulls, dude. Like that's what we're doing here. And it's like it all made sense like for Miami to be like, well, we're not paying you because you're not worth this anymore. And it made sense for Wade to go somewhere that was willing to pay him what he felt he was worth. But just forgetting like the Schadenfreude of laughing at Pat Riley and whatever, it felt weird, right? We were like, this is weird. Like, why this should not be a thing. Like, just and then he went back to Miami, right? Like a year later, he's back in Miami, and we're all just kind of like, okay, this is fine. This is what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be like, it's fine that you're washed because you've already won your championships and you're supposed to be in Miami, and that's fine. And the other one is Dame, right? Where Dame like rightfully asked out finally after years of like making, writing bars about how loyal he is to the grind. But like he finally asked out. The Blazers honored his request eventually and traded him to Milwaukee. And we watched it for 2 years. It never did it look right to you? It always felt like this is weird. Like this, like even I think me and you, when the trade happened, we were like, oh man, this is going to be awesome, him and Giannis. But I feel like every time I watch them, I was like, this is just weird, man. This is like not how it's supposed to be.
Nah,
And
it was bad. It was
yeah,
bad.
and it was bad enough that he
Not
basically
because
was
he was
like,
bad. That's the
okay,
funny part. Like
no,
sometimes it's
right.
because the player's bad, but like, yeah.
It just wasn't right. And then like they waive and stretch him. And remember, he gets waived and stretch, and there's all these reports of like, oh, like, Boston could sign him, and then they can like have him and Tatum sit the season, and then they can bring them back the following year. And it's like, and he like looked at he got the lay of the land, and he was like, you know what? I don't care how bad Donald Trump tells me Portland is. I'm going home. This is where the home is, where the heart is, and this is where I'm going. And he ends up back there. And like I don't know, something about those things is very. It's like it's a little bit heartwarming. But yeah, I mean it's obviously for Dallas fans, they can live in this eternal hope of like maybe one day Luke will come back. But also it's like this is why I don't. I'm just not of the opinion that Milwaukee is wrong for playing out the string with Giannis. And I'm not of the like I get the logic of you should have traded him a year ago, or you should have traded him this summer, or you got to trade him because you can't win a title with him right now and you're capped and all this stuff. I get all those arguments. But try and explain that argument to a Bucks fan who is like, we won a title with this guy, and I've probably the last time we had a guy this good was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the odds of getting a player as good as Giannis or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is fucking it's 1 in a million. Like the Knicks have never had a guy as good as Kareem or Giannis, probably, right? Like and the Knicks have existed for however long. Like think about that, right? There are franchises that have never sniffed a player of that caliber. So when you have that player and he has this connection to your city and fan base, I don't know. I think you always have to be really, really careful with that. And it's easy to sit around and be like, well, we can all be cold and calculated and like looking at the value of X versus Y, and all that stuff is cool. But like sports does transcend that. It does. Like it is emotional, and there is a responsibility that I think a steward of a team, a head executive of a team has, not just to make the right decisions for what he thinks are the best way to win a championship, but also to do right by your fans and honor them in some ways. And I just more than anything, it's just insulting, right? As a Mavericks fan, to be told basically like 6 months or whatever the fuck it is after you were in the finals that you had to trade the best guy in your team at age 25 because you could never win a title with him. Like that's just insulting. You're like, what the hell are we talking about? Like we just did this with Dirk. We were told we could never win a title with that guy, and then we did win a title with that guy 5 years after we made the finals. The first time, like it's just insulting. And the Mavericks organization have no love lost for them from at any level. Certainly the ownership, current and past, can go fuck themselves, but certainly the current. Um, but like for the fans, yeah, I feel bad for the fans just because like it is like I don't even know how I'd react. I literally don't know how I'd react if we woke up in 2 weeks and it was like the Knicks are trading Jalen Brunson for I don't fucking know, some taller guard who is not nearly as good. And Leon's up there being like, well, it's hard to trade my godson, but defense wins championship. I'd be like, I'm out, bro. Like I'm actually like if they trade him for like Stefan Castle, I might just be like, all right, I'm good. But I guess it'd have to be somebody fucking 6 years older than Brunson for this exact analogy to work, whoever that player is. All right. Anyways, I just thought that I prefer to talk about that than like, what is there to say about Nico? Is there anything be like, oh yeah, he made the worst trade of all time. He also made like another real like that Grimes trade is also extremely stupid, and I don't understand that at all. But whatever. Okay. The Knicks, they lost to the Magic yesterday. I'll just let you go because I spent much time explaining my philosophical thoughts on how trading franchise players represents the shifts in American society.